Well, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're catching me. It's Cher Cunningham from Tradewinds Group and Podium Prosperity, the coach side of your coach consultant team, helping your small business achieve profit and turn that profit into wealth. This month, we have been talking a lot about exit planning, and you will find that in general, the consultant that you work with will talk about where are you going with your business, because the path that you design is really important to the decisions that you make today and what you can do to put in place the lifestyle and the legacy that you want. We are, of course, no different in that approach. We want to know what the business should create for you. Today, I want to talk about how you might have some intentions about your key employee or your children taking over, or perhaps you've got a junior partner or two that are going to assume the mantle of leadership when you are done, when you leave. Now, the challenge to that, of course, is how abrupt that leaving can be, even in a case where you have the plan, you have the runway. There are some things that are often left out that would be incredibly valuable for the person to whom you are passing that business to. And if you're passing a business to a child who is now an adult or an employee, there's also some interesting relationship dynamics that the longer the runway you have to work on those, the more positive the outcome is going to be. So passing on the knowledge of how do you run your business? Why do you run your business that way? What is your client service process? All of those things that are inside of your head that need to come out of your head so that other people can take care of the work that you do. Whether you're just trying to get out of operations and out of the day-to-day yourself, getting that knowledge out of your head can be a really sticky point. You can also often hear people say that they think that because you've been around, you already know how to do it. There's some assumptions that come into play that because you've been growing up in the business that you understand how everything works. Unfortunately, it's much like when you go for a drive. If you are the driver, you've got the GPS, you're keeping track of roads and turns and how long it's going to take to get there. But if you're the passenger and that's not your responsibility, you're enjoying the scenery, you're enjoying the fact that you get to be a passenger, and you might not actually know what route to take if you were to take the wheel the next time around. The same is true with working in your business. The things that you are demonstrating, the things that you are modeling aren't necessarily absorbed and integrated by your employees and your children in the same way that actually having hands-on experience, having to make some decisions, having to take those risks and learn from both the failures and the successes will help them to understand. So passing the torch is a deliberate process that allows you to look at how do you work in your business and how can you translate that into a process that others can do. This is something that often people say, I need processes, I need systems just to be able to not have to make all the decisions and have to answer questions over and over again. It is even more true for when you're not available to answer those questions, or would like to not be available to answer those questions because you are traveling and off enjoying your, whether it's full-time or temporary retirement. Having those choices is important. Another thing that you need to pass along are the relationships. So the relationships with other employees are going to change for whoever becomes the owner, manager of your business. And if they've been embedded in your business for a while, that can be a challenging shift. Waiting until the day that you are out the door to hand over the keys makes it even harder to scale that cliff. Putting those people into those positions of authority, starting to take some steps back from the business yourself so that they get a feel for being that leader is really important. Also, the relationships you have with key clients. Having the person who is going to be taking the reins, building those relationships, transferring the respect that they have for you and the trust they have for you into the hands of the new owner so that those clients don't disappear when you do. And another place is that actual leadership and authority in the business. some decision making, some strategic planning, making sure that the person that you have in mind to take over after your exit is actually equipped with confidence, deal with all the imposter syndrome long before you leave, and have them taking those reins in decision making so that you can share with them some of the ways that you've made decisions in the past and how that experience, those processes can be captured so they can make wise decisions for themselves in the future. And of course, that leads us to a bunch of other things that will come up. They may not agree with how you made decisions. There may be a lot of change coming when you exit the business, where the new owner does want to build on the success you created, the legacy that you've put in place, and update it. And that's something to start wrapping your head around, to give some thought to how you're going to feel about releasing control and making space for your children or employees to start stepping in and really owning the business now. Often in multi-generational families, there's a lot of assumptions and expectations that have never been said out loud. You may expect the person who succeeds you to actually do things exactly the way that you thought they should be done. And they may be looking around, seeing changes in technology, seeing changes in the marketplace, and changes in the workforce, and thinking this needs to be reflected in the business for the years ahead. They may have a 5-year strategic plan that they started putting together that helps them embrace some of those opportunities that you may not agree with. So letting yourself think through, how do I make space in my definition of the business for this new owner? And how can we open up those conversations? One of the things that I have the privilege of doing as the business coach in our team is facilitating discussions. I also do some workshops and training so people are able to be in the same room, getting on the same page in understanding, in language and terminology about business know-how, financial know-how and leadership, as well as when we're working through business model and business planning, having everybody on the same page, building that plan forward is very valuable. When you're leaving the business, when you're exiting the business, that's run a little bit differently because we want to capture your knowledge and where you are going to go, as well as bring in the new ideas at the same time, making a very safe place to haul out all those expectations that each of you have, haul out the assumptions that you may have made, and really have those open conversations. In a multi-generational exit, I will generally have private interviews with each of you to see what those assumptions and expectations are. In a situation where there was a farming family that was transitioning from grandpa to dad to son and daughter, there were a lot of challenges behind how they had been communicating, how each of them felt when they were on the farm. And so being able to have those private conversations and discover how delighted granddad was to be passing things down to the grandson from the one side and supporting the granddaughter on the other side of things, and some of the ideas he had for how that support was going to roll out, capturing that and taking that information and turning it into information instead of emotionally charged conversation was a wonderful starting point. Then having the conversation with dad, finding out some of the disappointments and fears that he had gone through, and some of the lack of communication that he had struggled with, and his desire to make sure that things were more open and transparent as the business transferred through him and into the hands of his children, was really important. To be able to frame the entire conversation when we got all the families members together in that group session, to have him actually lead that off with that framing, with that intention of being open and transparent. And then talking to each of the children of the family to see, do they actually want to be in the family business? Do they want to farm? And in this situation, 2 out of 3 had real interest. 1 really wanted to take on the full farming experience, Another had more of a spin-off idea around farmland and what she could do with the business. And the third said, no, thank you, never again. I have no interest. I'm hoping this is the last time I have to say that, because often in a family business, our belief that our children will want to work in the business isn't something that's actually been discussed. It's more of a memory we have of, well, when you were 5, you loved it. How could you have fallen out of love with the business? So those old expectations can sit with us. Having that third party facilitated conversation around it is super valuable, and creating that safe space for everybody to share. The business was valuable to me in this way. I love growing up in the family business. I do or do not want to take it on. And if I do take it on, what is the passion? What is the vision that this person coming in has for the business? These same principles apply very strongly if you're talking to an employee or a junior partner, making sure that you've prepared yourself for the changes that are going to be coming for your business, and that they are also prepared, that they have that runway to start having those conversations with you and starting to make decisions on their own for the business. Much like having a teenager in a household, you want teenagers to make decisions, make mistakes before they move out, not save them all up for after when you're not there to support them. You want those opportunities inside the business, looking for projects they can take on, looking for their participation in your monthly executive meetings, your quarterly review of how things are going, and being part of the strategic plan, perhaps pioneering new projects in the company so that it is a safe time and a safe space to fail. And you can share with them some of your wisdom around what you've done along those lines as well. A lot of communication is needed in business, and it feels like I say that over and over again. Exit planning is no different. The more open the conversations can be, the more the unexpected can be put on the table, and you can be prepared for it. You can unpack it and see what are the risks, what are the challenges that are coming ahead, and together make that plan of how things are going to work. Business is hard. It always is challenging to take on a new business, to grow a business. The more that you can be supportive and mentoring and passing the torch early and having those conversations early, the easier that you can make it. Business isn't meant to be easy. Business is messy. If it isn't messy, it means you've closed your business and moved on. In fact, it's our ability to solve problems, to deal with that messiness and deal with bigger and different problems that allow us to add value as business owners. So expecting that transition of your business is going to be easy, of course not. Nothing else was easy. This won't be either. It will be rewarding. It will be something that you will be proud to do. And the more you can reach out and have a plan to do that exit conversation and transition, the better the outcome you can expect. The last thing I want to point to is the business needs to pay off for you as you exit. So whatever you've already put in place, if that is enough to ensure your retirement and your legacy through the retained earnings and how you've managed them through your business over the years, wonderful. There are also options that allow you to exit the business without that in place and have a retroactive financial tool or two or three that you can capture now to capture that value that will support you in retirement. It absolutely can be a win-win. You're not hijacking the future owner's success. You're not sabotaging their cash flow. When you've built a business that is worth passing down to somebody else, it will pay you off as you exit, and it will pay them off as they come in. So if you haven't got a plan for how that's going to work for you, you'll be amazed if you sit down and join us in a conversation on how to make your exit something that allows you to be comfortable after leaving the business, as well as putting in place and leaving in place what's required in the business. I'd love to start a conversation with you about this. If you have some ideas and questions, I'll lead you through some of the things that will make a difference for you as you contemplate this. more complicated exit as you pass to people you know instead of a third party. Most businesses do, in fact, pass to a third party, someone that is not related to you in any fashion, employee or child. But if you're thinking that this is something you want to pursue, reach out. And I do encourage you to still attend our Built to Sell workshop on May 16th. That's an in-person in Barrie. Get some of your questions answered. Look at how to make your business more valuable and saleable, because it is even more important that you know that you are passing a solid business down to these people that you love, because the resources that they have are constrained to the business you're passing them, whereas a third party might bring other resources to fix some of the challenges of the business that you're selling them, or they may have a customer bank or resources that you don't have that will take your business and make it valuable within their fold. Whereas if you're passing to a family member or employee, it's vital that your business be valuable and saleable so that it is a true asset that you are passing to them. Look forward to hearing from you. I'll make sure that we get that link in the description of this video as well, how to register for the Built to Sell workshop, and I hope to hear from you soon. Let's see if I can hit the end stream without knocking my computer off of this stand. Delighted to have had you join us. We'll talk to you next week. We have a whole new series coming up for the month of May.